All right. I hope you can hear me. I just want to take a moment and say thank you to anyone who may be on the participating in the replay of this live stream. It's my lunchtime. I'm working from home, and I thought I'd do a little pop-up live stream. Got a little 10-gallon tank here with some things going on, so I thought I could share it for a little bit. I don't know if anybody will be available to come hang out in the live stream or not. Didn't put it out there. I just kind of jumped on. We had a fun live stream last night where we talked about aquarium swaps. Talked about Tanner and I were on the live stream. We were talking about preparing for our local swap. We had a lot of fun with that. I see a couple of people are here. Are you able to hear me? Is that a thing? But if you are able to hear me and you're here for the replay, thank you again. Thanks for checking this out. Thanks for checking out this tank for a moment. As you can see, it's a bare bottom tank. This is my quarantine tank. It is temporary. It's set up in my bedroom at the moment, which is why, hey, Budget Pond Keeper, you hear me from the UK? This tank is set up as quarantine tank. It's a temporary tank. My daughter has a 20 long that we plan on setting up. Hello, Amisa. And I have the tank. I don't have everything for it yet. But one thing that I've got to do is I've got to paint a dresser for her in order to put this new 20-gallon on it. And that's evening from the UK. Okay. Hi, Budget Pond Keeper. Good evening. If you can hear me. Hey, B Wizzle. Just on my lunch break and thought I'd do a little pop up. I saw nobody was on, I saw no one was scheduled on. I know somebody was getting ready to drop off from a live stream from earlier. So yeah, just doing a few things with my lunch break. I actually just changed the water on this tank a little earlier before I got started with work this morning. So there's a little bit of bubbles going on. And they've not been fed today just yet, which you can see there's a swordtail in there looking around for some food. It's good to not feed them all the time so that they will eat on some of the algae and stuff that's definitely growing in this tank. This little quarantine tank is temporary. The 20-gallon long should be going up soon. I've got a busy weekend. I know it's not going to happen this weekend. I'm also about to build a stand for my 25-gallon, and I'm going to make it where I can fit my 10-gallon underneath that stand, and which is this tank that we have the camera on right now. So this tank will move to a proper quarantine location. And good. Fish fam link on Discord worked. Cool. Let you know that I was here. That's awesome. And I have a little, I believe it's a 3-gallon tank that I want to set up in my bedroom as a shrimp only tank. And I'm going to put some of those blue diamond shrimp that I got from the Garden of Eden in there and try to get a little colony going so that I can share those a little bit. They're just gorgeous, but they stay hidden because that tank's full of guppies. Well, it's only about half as full as it used to be because I actually got rid of a bunch. That works. I got rid of a lot of the guppies recently. Can't talk, and plan on getting rid of maybe all of them. I haven't decided if they're going out to the micro pond this year or not. Micro pond, I cleaned it out a little bit today and dropped some floating plants in it. It's looking like it's in desperate need of a water change. I don't know if anything survived the winter out there. I did not do water changes on it over the winter. And that might have been a problem. I don't know. Yeah, these actually did fast yesterday. I normally don't feed on Mondays and Wednesdays. Those are my days when I'm home. I normally don't feed until later in the day. That way I get a chance to watch the fish eat. Actually, usually around my lunchtime, which I took a little earlier today. The lights on the 75 and the 25 don't come on until 1 o'clock. Hey, Nano guy, good to see you. So these we'll eat later. I've actually got some fresh baby brine that I checked on this morning, and I still got a few eggs in there. So I'm going to give it a little bit longer, but I planned on feeding that today. So far, I'm not getting a high hatch rate out of my current setup for the live baby brine. I've got a small hatchery, and I'm using the aquarium co-op eggs, and the hatchery actually goes into my 25 gallon with the top sticking out of the tank so that the air can pass through. And then, of course, I've got air running to it, and I am using aquarium salt. But I think I lost some guppies recently. The only thing, well, there's a couple things that happened in the 25. One, I fed some baby brine shrimp that I think might have had too many eggs left in it, so that could have been a problem. Judging by at least one of the guppies, I think that could have been a problem. May have been an obstruction. Um, and then also, I tried to clean off some Anubias that I acquired. It had a little bit of algae on it, and so I did the hydrogen peroxide spray just a little bit at a time, a couple of times, and kept it in a bucket, kind of in the dark for a while. And it looked great when I put it in my tank. And as soon as I put it in the tank, it all melted to just rhizomes. So, not really sure if that's a way that I would recommend handling algae. I think my nerites and monos would have taken better care of that algae. It was black though, so that's why I tried it. I should have just done it once. Lesson learned. So this tank, this 10 gallon, what's going on in here? Well, first of all, this tank was set up for my daughter's endlers. She has four male endlers that she uh, brought home from last month's East Tennessee Aquatic Association meeting. And they're cool looking endlers. She's wanting to do a betta tank. Her 20 long is going to be a betta tank. And I wanted to have other fish in there with the betta. And someone at the club told me that endlers were good for that. And she was really excited to find these and get a chance to bring them home. So that's the plan. And I did pull female endlers from the endler guppy tank. Now they may have some guppy in them. From what I understand with these endlers, it's not a full a pure line anyway. They're already kind of mutt endlers, maybe endler guppy. So, but I did pull some guppies or some endler females. I think they're mostly endler because they are smaller than the others, and they do not they do not have any color. There was one that ended up having a little bit of color to her, so I removed her. And they have already had some fry. There's some fry there at the bottom you might see, but I don't think they had been in this tank long enough to be from the males that are in this tank. So I will watch those fry and probably pull them out before they mature. I don't think they're going to be endler fry, or at least not from these endlers. It just depends on what they look like. See that male there, kind of middle right, trying to court this female. There are 8 female guppies or endlers in here. The pieces of wood are I've forgotten. Is it Malaysian driftwood? I can't remember. Yeah, it's just a couple pieces that she picked out, and she's planning on using in the tank. I don't want to put a lot of wood in that tank. Um, I do plan on planting it pretty heavily. And these crypts that are in the pots, I did put a root tab in each of these pots before I put them in here. The one on the right is still converting, but it's got some really nice leaves in the middle that are starting to grow. It's not shed a lot of its immersed growth just yet, but it's looking good. It's looking healthy. I'm hoping I can get the tank set up and get it planted before it starts to struggle. In which case I may have to put another root tab in, but they'll hang out in the pot for a little bit. And there's another um, crypt in there that is a little hard to see because of some of the floating plants that are dangling down. But there's another one in there already has a lot of underwater growth on it. And I got it from one of the local box stores. It was like a Pet Supplies Plus. It was like $6, which it was so huge. It was a pretty good price on it, I felt. So I picked it up. I was in there, and anytime I go in, I like to buy something when place where the tanks look nice, and there was a lot of people there and some people in the fish area. So I like to support the stores that way. Um, and the people there were really nice and seemed to know for the most part what they were talking about. I like to encourage that. My daughter also brought home, I think she brought home some frog bit and water lettuce. I believe it's dwarf water lettuce. It's small. Hey, John, Select Pet. Good to see you. But she brought those home as well. I had frog bit, but we went ahead and put this in the tin. It's taken over the top, and as you can see, the dwarf water lettuce when we brought it home looked pretty rough. We pulled a lot of leaves of brown leaves off of it, and actually threw out probably a lot of the dwarf water lettuce. But I told her, I said, if any of this lives, you'll end up with a lot. And you can tell from the roots, we've ended up with a lot. That really long frog bit root, I believe, comes from one of my larger frog bit. I put a little bit of my stuff in there too, just to kind of add to it. It had a cycled filter, so everything went into it immediately. And of course, you can see there's anacris in there as well. But the thing that I'm most excited about this tank is it did end up being a quarantine tank for me, because this weekend I was at one of the local stores and came across some Montezuma swordtails. And you've seen them. You might not have paid much attention to them, but there's one right there on the left-hand side. It's a kind of clear gray swordtail with a little bit of color on it, and those spots, there's some colorful lines, some red and orange on these. But I have a pineapple Montezuma mix in a 75 that we just love. They're one of my favorite fish. Um, I've got them this past year, but I had what I thought was a 1-to-2 ratio on my adult fish that I put in, but one of the females ended up being a male and started showing recently. So I've realized that I have one female and two males, so I needed to fix that. So these two females will be added to that tank. I'm going to watch them. The store that I got them from, the person there couldn't tell me how long they'd had them, but I spoke with someone in the club who saw them there a little bit of about a week before I was in there. So they had them at least a week. They look really good. One of them, actually, when I got home, this always happens from this store. The lighting there is not great, which makes it easier to look into the tanks. But one of them looked a little beat up when we got home, but she's doing fine. She was, when I added her to this tank, she did keep her fins um, clutched close for a while, but she's no longer doing that. She's active and all over the tank now. She was hiding in the beginning, and she but her fins were a little beat up, it looked like, and so I'm going to watch her. But I did notice some poo yesterday, and the poo looked pristine. So I don't expect that we're going to have any issues out of these, but I'm going to keep them in here a couple of weeks. This weekend will be 1 week because I got them on Sunday, and then if everything's still good, the following Sunday they'll move over to the 75. Yeah, John, that's what I hear. So I did not know they were Montezumas for a long time. Rob Ziegler, was, I was told, also had some of the pineapple Montezumas that I had, and I contacted him, and he no longer had them. I was hoping to get some females from him. And so he was the one that told me. I knew they came from a South American swordtail. I was told it was a Mexican swordtail, but when I spoke with Rob, he said because of the spots they're Montezumas, which is I think Central America, and he he told me he hadn't seen them. So I just happened across them. Of course, I messaged him. These really were the last of what they had. They had a really nice looking male that I was kind of tempted, but I don't want a pure Montezuma line. I already have a pineapple Montezuma hybrid that's really colorful and beautiful. So I just wanted to add, if I could have found a pineapple, that's probably what I would have gotten. But when I saw these and I had heard, have a hard time finding them locally um, without having someone order them for me. So I was really excited to come across them. And it was at Aquarium in Knoxville. It's the one that the store that you see as you're going across I-40. You can see them in the West Knoxville area, just west of the city. But yeah, they're looking great. They're doing great. I'm excited. They and they yeah, they're eating great. Hey, Coral Works. So, John, I'm trying to read your message at 12:48. The swords, okay. Montezumas are amazingly long, record making, really. So, you're saying this fish gets really long? The ones that I have, which are hybrid, are they're big, but I don't know that I would say they're amazingly long. And and yes, I am saying that my pineapple Montezumas may not be Montezumas. Um, this is just cool. And I did check back with the person that I originally got the swords from, which I had to track down. I didn't know where they came from. They were left behind at a club meeting, and I was like, oh, well, I like a lot of bears. I'll give it a try. And I did find out where they came from before I put them in my tank. But it was Curtis, and when I mentioned the name to Curtis, he said that's what he was told they were. Okay. So, yeah, that's definitely what I saw with the one male that they had there. Um, what I'm calling pineapple Montezumas, I'll have to find a picture or so, but I have one young male. He's real small, and his sword is definitely at least as long as he is. Um, the other male has just started to form its sword, but he is huge. Like he is as big as a female, um, but has just started to show the proper finnage. Okay, good to know they don't get that big. I didn't really want a huge fish. I have some reds that are pretty big, um, more of a burnt orange color, but I really like them too. I need more tanks, man. So that's what's happening in this tank. I talked about it a little bit last night. I was working from home. I'll be working from the office the rest of the week. And I was like, this is probably the only time that I could do like a live stream of this. I'm going to do a video of it too, I believe. I wish I'd gotten some video of them while they were at the store. That would have been a good idea. Still getting used to this stuff. Levin in the chat, thank you all for coming by and hanging out with me on my lunch break. I don't know how long I'll be on here. I will have to get back to work. Not too much longer. I think I've been on about 20 minutes now. But I'll leave the live stream up for a little while. I may just drop off myself. Cora wants to know if swordtails happen in the wild or if that is a line bred trait only. I know swordtails are in the wild. I've been told, so I don't want to say no. I've not done the research myself. I'm sure John can tell us. But I've been told they can be found in the wild. I don't know if they were bred first and then found their way into the wild, but the swordtail extension is a natural feature of about 20 species. Yeah. Okay. So it is a wild feature. I love them. I really didn't think I would like them. I'd seen swordtails online. I was at a club meeting. They were left behind, and really they were left behind. Actually, the pineapples were at the October meeting or the October swap. The fall swap is where I got the pineapples. One of the vendors didn't want to take them home, and they were like, "Hey, you like live bears? Try these," and they were gorgeous. Um, Actually, I think I got it from the club table. Now that I think about it, someone that was working the club table because they were donated by Curtis, and nobody took them. So I ended up with them, and I really liked them. And then the burnt orange ones, they were small too. I believe they also came from Curtis, and but they were really pretty. Really liked the color. My kids love the color of them. And then we the next meeting, so that would have been the November meeting, someone had brought a gigantic red sword. And the end of the meeting, nobody had taken it home and off the table. It had been left, and I had some, so I asked around to find out where it came from, and couldn't find out where it came from, and ended up with it. So I had to watch it a few days before it got added. It wasn't long though. It was not a long quarantine. I took a gamble on it because I've not had any issues from anybody in the club with fish. So I had an idea of where it might have come from, but I did watch it a few days. The coloring we see in pet stores is typically a hybrid trait of platies that are mixed. Pet store swordtails are 99% hybrid platies and swordtail species. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm finding out. There's all kinds of different swordtails. I know John really likes swords. We have John coming, and I don't have my phone, or I'd look at the date so I can mention it. John, you can tell people when it is. John's supposed to be doing a talk at the ETAA later this year, and I'm afraid to say when because I always get it wrong. But I wanted him to do swordtails, but I think he's going to do something which is actually a lot cooler. And he and I, maybe we'll just have him on the live stream. We'll talk swordtails. I know that's a bad time. I think our live stream's a bad time for you though. It's September. That's what I was thinking was September, but I wasn't going to say it. Um, it'll be the second weekend in September. John Select Pet will be doing a talk at the club, and I don't know that he said exactly, but I think you're doing cares. I hope you're doing cares. I think that'll be a great topic, and maybe we do something else on swordtails some other time. I'm loving them, and I'm going to start flooding the community with them before too much longer because I've got a ton of fry growing up in the 75. That pineapple is just gorgeous, though. I love that, and the the traits that I have from the Montezumas look cool. I know I've seen full swordtails. I always end up with hybrid stuff. Like I don't hybridize it. I get it hybridized. If I have to work at 3 a.m. on Wednesdays, it's hard to make. Yeah. Okay. Yes, you're going to do cares. Awesome. That's what I've been telling people. So I was hoping that's what you were going to do. But yeah, I ended up with a hybridized fish, and I really like the look of it. I've seen pineapples online that are not hybridized, and they're gorgeous. But there's some qualities to mine that I just really like. Are you doing patio ponds this year? Razor Reef, good to see you. I am. I'm actually going to have two ponds this year. I have a 80-gallon pond that it's a preform pond that I'm going to do this year. So that'll be going in my yard, a small section of yard that I've been given permission to tear up and do that this year. So later this spring, I'm going to wait till late spring, summer to work on it. I'll be doing that, but I do have the micro pond, and I'm actually getting things to finish up a project on that. I've got another. It's not it's not an actual barrel. The one that I'm using is not an actual barrel. Um, but I've got another planter that's smaller than the one that I'm using. Because so the one I'm using is a 20 gallon. This is more like, it's probably like an 8. I'm going to fill it full of lava rock and gravel and run a pump to it and do a PVC network underneath it and create a bog filter that I plan on spilling over. The one thing that's kept me from working on it, I was going to work on it this weekend. I actually spent, or the last 2 weekends, I can't find the black PVC pipe that I want to use to make a stand for the bog, because I want the bog to sit up higher than the pond, but I also want the legs of the stand to sit in to be in the pond, and that's why I'm wanting to use PVC, and I don't want to use white, and I don't really want to paint it. I'd like to just buy the black PVC. One of my local fish stores had some, but they only had one piece, and it's not enough. It's like, I don't know, 4 feet, and I need 4 feet close, but it's just not enough. Um, so I plan on doing that this year with the micro pond. So there'll be some videos of that. And then, like I said, I got the 80-gallon preform that'll be going in. That'll be a lot of fun. I'll have to build a filter and stuff for that. And all that's just kind of preparing me for when I get ready to actually dig my pond and to do a big pond. I'm ready to put them out too. John says I'm ready to put fish out, but not sure the weather is. Um, The so one of our local fish stores has a pond section. They've done ponds for a number of years. And while I was, it was the aquarium. While I was out there last weekend, I went out to the pond section, and they already had a lot of stuff out with their plants. So they're starting to bring plants in. So I think we're getting close. I don't know. I got to do a huge water change. I'll probably do that later today on the micro pond. It's been out there. I wintered it outside. There was some. The only thing that I left in it were cherry shrimp and snails. Snails have still survived. The snails made it through the winter. The and some duckweed. I saw some duckweed in it today. Can't even freeze it. Um, but it's got some bubbles on the top. Definitely not a great habitat for anything right now. I've cleaned the algae out of it the last couple of days because it was pretty thick. But yeah, going to be working on that. I've also got to get something over it because it gets too much direct sun. And the end of the season last year, it had cooled off already, but we were still able to hang out outside. And so we had an umbrella, and that umbrella was positioned to where it would cover the pond most of the day. The wind took it and drug it across my yard and slammed it up against the fence. So it was broke, and I've got to get a new one. So that's something I got to do before I put anything in it, because that pond, once it starts getting that direct sunlight, will start to heat up quick. The next thing to do, though, will be the water change tonight. Um, BRS has all colors PVC. I'm not sure what BRS is, and I have looked online. Um, I can actually order it from Lowe's, and they will deliver it to the store, and I can pick it up. So that's probably what I'm going to do. There's so many hardware stores in my area. I thought I would try to find it without ordering it, but I think I'm about to give up on that. Yeah, I've got bulk reef supply. Okay, bulk reef supply. I bet you're right, John. Thank you, Sketty Nona. Yeah, Nona. Sketty Nona. Um, yeah, my tub did good once I put the umbrella up, and that's actually the same location that I plan on putting the 80-gallon. So I've got to work out something to cover those. The plan has been for a number of years now to hang a shade sail out there, but I'm starting to play with the idea of actually building something else out here. Um, we love having the outside patio. We've not been in this house too long, But we've been trying to decide what to do. There's a few reasons why it's kind of complicated with the backyard, and we don't want to use up too much of the yard because there's not a lot of it. The kids still like to play back there, but we do want to make it to where it's more hospitable during the worst part of the season when it gets really warm. Might be too small for outdoor pond use. Oh, what size? Like what size PVC that I'm looking for? Well, I really like to do because I'm probably putting 10 gallons of water and rock on it. I probably need to do 1 inch PVC. Um, I think that would hold it. Um, Coral Works, do you have a plastic specialty place near you? I can get clear PVC near me, and they'll cut all sorts of stuff to size too. Like, okay, maybe I should check into that. Behind a little bit on the stream, that happens. A little collaboration of curiosities. Yeah, CoralWorks. I'll look into that and see. I've done some online searches and I haven't come across anything. Um, but a plastics place, I'll check into that. I do know some people. I used to do a lot of business. I used to do countertops, and I used to do a lot of business with a plumbing supply company. I've never looked through that part of their business because I was mainly dealing with their sinks and um, faucets and features and stuff like that. But they sell plumbing supplies. I bet they have it. I need to reach out to somebody I know there. Thank you for making me realize that. All right, I'm going to have to wrap up soon. Unfortunately, my lunch break's not that long. We're a little over at the moment, so I need to get back to work. Um, I can definitely leave the live stream up. I just won't be. I won't be able to talk while it's going. I checked out fishfam.link. Let me look again. Make sure nobody else has shown up. Checked out fishfam.link, and there was no one scheduled until I think it was like 1 o'clock. I'm not going to leave it running that long. I probably ought to put a power cable on that camera now that I think about it. Silver Creek Aquatics is going live at 2:30. So it's quite a while until then. So if you guys want to chat to hang out in and watch a tank while it's just kind of hanging out because it is a temporary quarantine tank, you can do that. Hey, Silver Creek, how is it we mention, like, this is something I've seen a lot. Anytime you mention somebody, they show up. and I'm guessing, and because it happens to me too, it's not always the case. I'm very surprised when it happens, and I'm mentioned on a live stream and happen to have just jumped in. But I would imagine people are kind of hanging out and then hear their name. So, Silver Creek, let me know if that was the case, or if you just happened to pop in at the same time I was mentioning you. I'm not going till 1 to 2:30. Okay. My ears were burning. That's awesome. 3G, good to see you. Yeah. You might hear me walk around the house. I'm gonna go put a power cable. I say a camera. It's actually my phone. But I wish I could get a better live stream going for you, but unfortunately, I'm using StreamYard, and they only allow you to do the 720 unless you do the pay for a package. And wow, it's kind of expensive. I've been really surprised at the price on StreamYard. I looked at doing Streamlabs. That was recommended to me from someone, and so I looked at doing that. I downloaded the software, and was getting ready to play around with that, and maybe learn how to use it. And they fussed at me, told me my computer was too old. My MacBook's too old to use Streamlabs, which it is. It's an older MacBook. I don't know what I'll do when it's gone. Um, I bought it. I bought it back in 2012, or I guess 2013. So it is that old. If I kind of go out, I'm sorry, I can't see what's going on. You're gonna see the camera start to shake a little bit. I'm plugging this in, but I can kind of hear myself through the phone too. Sorry, trying to get to the plug it up. All right, that should keep that going for a little bit. Come on, Bentley. Come on, pup. He was excited to go to the bedroom. I can't watch him, so he can't stay in here on his own. He's still a pup. Tell my wife yesterday, I look forward to the day that I don't have to keep him pinned up when we're not home. He's not there yet. He's not trustworthy. Fish people have summoning power. That's awesome. That's cool. It happens a lot. I see it a lot where people will just kind of pop in around the time they're mentioned, and it happens to me too. I'm like, I just got here, and somebody mentioned me. Um, it's because it's a Mac. Well, I'll say this, John. I've had many laptops over the years before 2013, and they typically only gave me a good, I don't know, 2 or 3 years before I started having some kind of issue or another and would need to start to work on it. I have done nothing to this MacBook since 2013 other than just its regular updates. And, it's still chugging along. I don't have any problems out of it. I just can't do any of the security updates or anything because it's beyond the scope of the operating system. I am too old. My MacBook is too old for the current operating systems. So I am stuck on whatever. I don't even remember which one it is. Let's look. Let's see. High Sierra. I'm 10.13.6. But yeah, I've loved this thing. I've done a lot. I've done podcasts. I've done YouTube. I've done a few different things with it, and I really love the software. GarageBand is awesome. iMovie has been great. I've looked at trying to learn other stuff in preparation for when it does go down. My laptops hit the expiration date before they're delivered to my house usually. That is probably true too. I remember I bought a really nice high-end Toshiba at one point, and it was really nice. I have a funny retail story about it, but I ended up ordering it directly from Toshiba because the retailer did not meet my expectations. And it was a great computer. Trying to remember it. It was the most expensive computer I bought before the Mac, and I feel like I got about 3 years out of it, and I was really disappointed when I started having trouble and started. Oh, it was the optical drive, which isn't even a thing now, but it was the disk drive that went out on it, and because it was, I guess it was integrated, it was going to be a big deal to replace it and a lot of money, and we were like, oh, we don't use it that much, and so we just kind of left it. My wife kind of took it over, and then when I went back to college, I had fully integrated onto the Apple side of things for the first time in my life. I'd always been a PC person, and decided that I was going to invest in a MacBook because even when I sold small electronics, the Macs they lasted. I saw that. Even though everything's proprietary and everything costs the extra, that closed system seems to work for them. That's not what that's not what this stream's supposed to be about. Um, anyway, I've had this thing for at least 10 years now, and it's been amazing. My my daughters will enjoy having it when I get something new. I don't expect to get another Mac though. I don't think I'll spend the money on that. I have been looking on the secondary market to find something that's newer but not new and see if I could get it at a reasonable price. And it's looking like that's possible. I love being able to do everything from my phone on the computer. So CoralWorks, what floater is making those huge roots? So the roots that kind of look like feathers, like feather tails, or parrot tails, upside down, that is dwarf water lettuce. And it's actually just started to take off. I've had it almost a month now, and it was in really rough shape when I got it. Really rough shape, but it is flourishing. And I've tested this tank a couple of times just to know. Like I said, I got the fish first, completely cleaned this tank, um, and put in a sponge filter that had been running already. I had this heater. This heater that you see back there is one of the heaters that I received from Amazon as part of the Amazon Vine program. So I did not receive it from the company who makes it. I received it from Amazon in exchange for a honest review on it. So that heater has been really good. I really like it. But anyway, that heater, the sponge filter, which I already had running, and I put the two pieces of wood were new, but I did get two plants, two potted plants from some local stores, um, with the intent of hoping they would add some more bacteria on top of the sponge filter, and then the floating plants, and everything has stayed pristine. Does water lettuce handle higher flow very well? Red root floaters, you're right. Red root floaters does not like a lot of flow. I don't know. I will say this. I doubt the water lettuce was so rough because it had been in a bag for a long time or anything like that. I'm sure it was bagged the day I got it, and it just didn't like having the water over top of the leaves. So that tells me it's probably not going to be great for high flow. But then again, you see it in ponds and stuff all the time. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's cheap. I will say that every time I've seen it, it's cheap. Um, it's worth trying. Maybe someone else can speak to that. I don't have a lot of float on this tank. It's just a sponge filter. I've actually got a filter I'm about to put in there though, and try out. No, I decided to put it in the 25. Another review that will be doing for Amazon for the Vine program. I was playing with it. It's an in tank filter. Never had one, never used one, so looking forward to playing with that. I'm gonna put it in the 25. 25's has a huge bio load. All right, everyone. I've gone over my lunch. I actually used up my lunch and a break, so I'm going to have to hop off the audio side of things. I'll leave the tank up and the chat open if you all want to just kind of hang out and chat. That's cool. And thank you for coming out and hanging out with me for about 45 minutes. It hates high flow, says Amisa. And the roots will shed horribly. Ew, I've not experienced that. I hope. Is that from the high flow? They shed from the high flow, or they just kind of shed? My daughter ended up with the water lettuce, and it's in this tank because she plans on having a 20-gallon setup, and a lot of this stuff's going to move over. But I have not put it in any other tank. Oh, you know what? I may have put one piece in the 75 to see how it did. Anything to try and outcompete the duckweed. That'll ever happen. And I threw one piece in the pond this morning, one of the rougher looking pieces, and I just thought I'd see how hardy it was and if it'd survive. But yeah, thanks everyone for coming out. It's awesome seeing you all here. I hope you would take a moment and like the live stream. I appreciate that. It always helps out with the channel, and yeah, I'll probably be in the chat in every few minutes or so, but I got to get back to work, and I've enjoyed hanging out on my lunch break. So you all have an amazing day and enjoy your tanks. from the Garden of Eden in there. And